Hi guys, welcome to my vlog on skills versus capacities. Through this vlog, I will explore the skills and capacities of two male individuals who both has no lifting experience of any kind. However, one of them is a national taekwondo competitor, whilst the other attends training for leisure purposes only. The main point of selecting these two individuals is for the fact that even though both has no lifting experience, it is easily noticeable the differences that exist in both skill and capacity between the two. For the sake of the vlog, I will also be comparing the two individuals with high-level powerlifting competitors. First to analyze will be the back squat. So first, let's have a look at our first athlete performing the back squat. This athlete attends training for leisure purposes only and has no previous lifting experience. From this lateral short clip, it is easy to understand that there are a number of flaws in both skill and capacity of this athlete. By having a look at this lateral still shot, it could be observed that the center of mass is already distributed at the far end of the foot. From elementary physics, we know that the closer the center of mass to the edge of the base of support, the less stable the athlete. In this shot, we can easily compare the differences that lies between the two athletes. The athlete on the right of the image is an experienced competitive powerlifter. We can notice the position adopted by the powerlifter where the center of mass is being distributed further down to the midfoot, which provides further stability. Though not being clearly visible in this shot, the powerlifter has adopted a low bar position, which allows the lifter to tilt the torso forward and low tension in the posterior chain musculature of the leg, whilst the high bar position requires a more upright torso that shifts more the demand onto the quadriceps and also increases the range of motion demands on the hip and ankle. In the shot, we can easily observe the lack of skills in the untrained individual to initiate the squat from the hips rather than from the knees. At 130 degrees angle at the knees, the untrained individual still maintains a very high torso, while the trained athlete has already a 43 degrees inclination at the hip. At the same angle, we can observe that the untrained athlete has his knees already passing his toes and the pronation of the foot is also visible. The untrained athlete has not the ability to engage his hips at the beginning of the lowering phase, which we might relate this issue to lack of skill. Furthermore, we can notice that his knees are already beyond his toes, which is a result of the skill issue in the initial part of the lowering phase, though it could be also related to lack of hip mobility and therefore it could be also a capacity issue. At this stage, one can observe a pronation of the foot, which again, this is due to the knees being loaded first, but also to lack of mobility to the ankle joint. The shot illustrates the final phase of the descent of the squat. The athlete kept on descending with a very high torso, stopping at a 79-degree knee angle. Surely this limitation is not solely limited to the lack of skill, but also attributed to the lack of capacity at both the hips and the ankle joints. We can observe that the center of mass is still forward, with knees surpassing the toes, increasing foot pronation. Here we can observe that the bar is not equally centered on the back. This is evident from the distance of the hands and the angle at the elbows, having the load being shifted towards the left side. This uneven weight distribution is then clearly reflected during the descent, as we can observe that the bar being tilted towards the left side. Now let's observe the same athlete from a rear perspective. Apart from the bar not being properly centered, we can also observe a shift of the torso towards the right side. Furthermore, it is also noticeable the shifting of the left hand further out on the bar, probably in order to compensate for the bar misalignment, which instead he should have done with the opposite hand. We can also observe the oscillating and tilting movement during the ascent phase, which could be due to the bar being shifted towards the right side. However, This could also be a lack of neural muscular activation of the left leg. Now let's have a close look at the second athlete. This athlete is a Taekwondo junior competitor at a national level. However, he too has no lifting experience. A Taekwondo athlete should possess a considerable amount of flexibility and mobility, especially at the hip joint, and also a substantial level of coordination, though this is very much relative to the sport in question. Starting off, we can notice that the center of mass is shifted towards the far end of the back of the heel. This difference in center of mass can be accentuated by being compared with an elite powerlifter whose center of mass is placed over the midfoot by leaning his torso forward. This shift in center of mass was also evident in the athlete observed before. Progressing to the first phase of the descent, we can notice that at 105-degree angle at the knee, the athlete still holds a high torso, which makes him shifting his knees beyond the toes. This could also be due to the high bar position, something we can attribute to lack of skill rather than capacity. On reaching full depth, we can notice that the athlete has the capacity to reach a decent degree angle at the hip joint, demonstrating good posterior chain flexibility, whilst also maintaining a flat back. However, his knees are still beyond his toes, with the center of mass being projected towards the front part of his feet, which may give the indication that he might lack mobility at both hip and ankle joints. In conclusion, here we can observe both athletes side by side. Though both clearly have skill issues, athlete 2 has a higher degree of capacity, which may be attributed to his superior skills in the sport. Observing athlete 1 performing a deadlift, we can observe issues related mainly with technique, where he is lacking mainly from executing smoothly the whole sequence. In this clip of the lifting phase, it is clearly visible the hunching of the upper back. This is probably due from the lack of ability from adopting a flat back and neutral spine position. In this clip taken from a front perspective, we can observe the swaying of the bar. The swaying can be attributed from not engaging the shoulder girdle and the core area enough, which promotes a flat back and therefore more stability. One may also attribute the swaying from the lack of activation of either quadriceps or glutes muscles of the non-dominant side. In this clip, we can observe athlete number 2. This athlete adopts a higher knee extension, posing the demand on his posterior muscle group, especially those of the hamstrings. This athlete has superior skills than athlete number 1, as he is capable to maintain a flat back during the whole sequence. Also, he has the ability to hinge at the hip, demonstrating substantial hamstring flexibility. In this side-by-side image of the conclusion of the lift, we can observe the lifting of the toes in an exaggerated manner. The athlete is shifting all the weight at the far end of his heels, compromising stability. This may be attributed from not engaging the gluteal muscles in order to stabilize his position, which we may classify this deficiency as a lack of skill. In conclusion, we can observe both athletes performing the same exercise side by side, where we can identify the relevant differences that exist between the two in both skills and capacity. The following images illustrate some correction exercises intended to improve mobility. From the two exercises demonstrated, the squat presented to be the most challenging in terms of both skill and capacity. It is evident that athlete 1 has severe issues concerning both skill and capacity in both exercises, which up to a certain extent applies also to athlete 2. Though skill is an important part of the technique, however, I deem that the lack of capacity will eventually hinder skill. Skill issues would be better addressed directly during the exercise itself under the guidance of an expert coach.